After this race, it's almost meant like this package and Kansas were meant to be together. Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is Jack Cross from NASCAR and NDK. Welcome back to an episode of the Inside Lines post-race show. And oh my god, we just had another thriller of a cutoff race at Kansas Speedway. Let's not waste any time, jump right into it. Now, Kansas got out to a very weird start in terms of qualifying results. For example, the top 10 included drivers like Daniel Hemrick, who won pole, David Reagan qualified second, McDowell qualified third, and Wallace qualified 10th. Now, those drivers you don't expect anywhere near into the top 10. In fact, I think Hemrick, who was probably the best driver out of those four drivers I just mentioned, really was maybe outside the top 15. So to see them up front was very surprising, but as we get into the race, they would very quickly not be a factor. So as soon as the race starts, drivers like Reagan and McDowell, they fell to the back. I think Reagan went from second to 24th, 10 laps into the event. Wallace was able to stay up inside the top 10. He was even able to get up until like maybe 5th or 6th at one point, but eventually will fall back outside top 15 and 20. Daniel Hemrick, on the other hand, was able to stay up. He led it for a few laps, but he eventually fell back because the way RCR, or at least the 8 team, the way they built Hemrick's car, they built it more for speed, for qualifying trim instead of actual race trim. So as soon as Hemrick lost the lead, he fell like a rock. And early on, it would become a 3 to 4 man race. You had Hemrick leading, you had Larson, Keselowski, and you had Ryan Blaney. Hemrick, obviously the only driver not in the playoffs. He was able to stay out in front for a few laps before Larson would take the lead away from Hemrick. Hemrick would then fall back. Then it became Blaney, Keselowski, and Larson's battling each other for the lead. Blaney would eventually fall back, and then became Keselowski and Larson battling. Keselowski would get the lead at one point away from Larson. Larson would then take it back, and so forth. But then Larson was able to prevail, take the lead, and then hold it and drive away from the pack. Now, one driver that was in the hot seat over at SHR was Daniel Suarez. And there have been a lot of reports that Suarez will not return to SHR at the end of the season. In fact, he's the only driver that has not been confirmed to be in the car in 2020. Boyer just had a contract extension this week. Amarola had an extension 1 or 2 weeks ago. So the pressure was certainly on for Suarez to perform. And in stage 1 and 2, he did. He was inside the top 5 and 10 for really the entire portion of the stages, stage 1 and stage 2. In fact, he was even up to 3rd for quite some time in stage 1. Now, Joey Logano, who entered into Kansas just, I believe, 8 points or 18 points above the cut line, he had some problems starting in stage 1. He had a vibration at the end of near the mid part of stage 1, and he fell back to 2 laps down. So he was already having a bad day. Alex Bowman, another driver who entered into Kansas below the cut line, I believe 10th or 11th on the chase standings. He also had a horrible day. He fell back to 25th, and he would eventually fall 1 lap down to Kyle Larson in the process. Kyle Larson, who was leading, tried to stretch out his lead, hoping for a caution, because by around halfway, I want to say, in the race, pit stop starting to get in. Brad Keselowski started this pit stop cycle in 4th place. Larson was trying to stretch it out, trying to hope for a caution to trap as many drivers as possible 1 lap down. Was unable to do so, gives up the lead to then Denny Hamlin. However, Hamlin had to pit for right sides. That gave the lead back to Kyle Larson. And then with 6 laps to go, our first caution came in this race, and it happened right in front of Kyle Larson. Teammates Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Newman make contact coming off of 4. Newman gets sent into the wall. Debris flies on the right side of his car, and we're bringing out the caution for the first time today. Now, remember when I told you about Joe Logano earlier, how he had a loose wheel or he had a vibration of some sort? Well, he had to pit, but because he pitted a lot earlier than others, he was able to rebound and able to get inside the top 4 when that caution came out with 6 laps to go. That set up a restart with 2 to go, and Daniel Suarez pulled out a very ballsy move, 5 wide below the white line to try and get his way to the lead. I believe it ended up getting 2nd or 3rd. Meanwhile, on the outside, Joey Logano gets a huge push from behind, sends him to the lead, and Logano would win stage 1. Now that is very important because Chase Elliott, who Logano is racing for to stay in that 8th spot, he was right behind him and in 2nd place. So him able to get that stage points, get more points than Elliott would pay dividend, and Logano hopefully trying to move on into the round of 8. Then stage 2 takes place, and it was actually a lot calmer than what it was in stage 1. It was more spread out, not many things took place, not even on restarts, but we did see some new drivers start to get to the front and start to sort of lead stage 2. One of those drivers was Daniel Suarez. We talked about him earlier in stage 1. He was able to get a good push from Martrix Jr. and able to get out in front and lead stage 2. I believe that's the first time Suarez has led a lap this season, maybe, and if so, in a long time. But it would be short-lived as Martin Truex Jr. was then able to get the lead back from Suarez around 5 or 6 laps later. Then our second caution comes out, and it involves a lap car. So heading into turn 3 and 4, Joey Gase was running near the outside lane, near close to the wall, same lane as Kyle Larson. Larson has to check out, but then off of turn 4, Larson hits him in the back end and then spins Joey Gase out. This is like the second or third time this season we have seen lap cars played a role in drivers up front. Yesterday in the Xfinity race, we saw Garrett Smithley basically cause a crash between leaders Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. We saw it with Smithley again in the first race of the playoffs. Him and Kyle Busch had a scuffle going on and entering turn 1, and now today. So I don't know, that's probably going to bring a discussion between lap cars and what they should do around drivers that are racing for position. But yeah, another caution, another incident involving lap cars and a driver racing up front. Then during the caution, Kyle Busch, who was on pit road, had the hood open up on his race car, and his team reported Busch, I should say, reported something about a throttle issue, throttle boot. To be honest, I have no idea what that means, but it was an issue that could potentially derail Busch's chances, because Busch was only 18 points with the cut line, and if he had any problem that sort of could have taken him out of the race, that would have been done for him. However, luckily for Kyle Busch fans, it would not affect his chances of moving on into the playoffs, or at least into the round of 8. We restart with 4 laps ago. Martin Truex Jr. is still leading. However, a new driver that came into the mix was Kevin Harvick. Remember, he started dead last, did not post a single qualifying lap. Due to him, I think he failed pre-qualifying inspection at least 3 or 4 times, so he was not able to make a qualifying lap. Had to start in the rear of the field, and he, by the 40 laps ago in stage 2, he was up in 3rd place. A great comeback for Harvick. Now, even though by that time he would already advance into the round of 8, but still, regardless, that's a great comeback for him in that 4 team. And then a new driver will then take the lead. Teammate to Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, he has been on fire as of late in the season. Could potentially be a championship winning contender. He would take the lead from Martin Truex Jr. away, and he would book it, check out for the rest of stage 2, and would end up winning stage 2 over his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Now, the main story between stage 3, yes, Denny Hamlin was leading. However, the main story was 3 points separated between Keselowski and Chase Elliott from advancing into the final spot in the round of 8. And for the longest time, it was Keselowski with the advantage. However, throughout the entirety of stage 3, Keselowski was losing ground 2 drivers ahead and was starting to lose spots. And he says, and I quote, was not trying to fence it. So his car was just not there at all throughout the entire race. Pit stops beginning 54 laps ago. Denny Hamlin would eventually cycle through to become the leader. However, before that, Alex Bowman, another driver who was below the cutoff line, was basically in a must-win situation, was not there the entire race, was leading with around 43, 42 to go, hoping for a caution, but that was not meant to be. He would eventually have to forfeit the lead and come onto pit row. That gave Hamlin the race lead back. Then that put the 2 car in a situation, because he was so bad to the point when Hamlin cycled through as the race leader, Hamlin had the 2 car in his sights. So Keselowski was trying to block Hamlin to stay on the lead lap, because if Keselowski were to go to 1 lap down, that'll make it 5 times harder to gain positions, because 1 lap down, how many people were a lap down? That means less spots for Keselowski to gain in order to get away from Chase Elliott. But eventually, with 39 laps to go, Keselowski would lose a lap to Hamlin. But then another thing started to come up with the race leader. Hamlin starting to lose ground to the 18 to Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, who has not won since Pocono, I believe in July, was starting to gain ground on Hamlin. It was 1 second, 7 tenths, then it was down to 5 tenths of a second. And then that's when all hell started to break loose. 15 laps ago, Ryan Blaney, who was I believe 3rd or 4th at the time, hits the wall, cuts a right rear tire, sends debris flying all over the track, brings out a caution with 15 laps to go. Then 9 laps to go on a restart, Chase Elliott still below the cut line. Off of turn 4, I believe 7 or 6 to go, the 20 car who was in front of Chase Elliott gets loose, collects the 42 car of Larson. They stay straight, but that allows Elliott to get by those 2 easily, gains 2 points on Keselowski. Then that makes both the 2 of Keselowski and the 9 of Elliott on a tiebreaker. Then, with 3 to go, entering 1, Bubba Wallace loses the left front tire, left rear tire, he loses it, gets into the wall, collects the 36 car of Matt Tifft, and brings out a caution, which then leads on to overtime. But then Brad Keselowski and his team had an incredible pit stop, was able to gain 3 spots on other drivers that pitted as well, and it was now 1 point above the cut line ahead of Chase Elliott. Throughout these laps, the points were just changing back and forth between Elliott and Keselowski. It was either -3, -1, in, out, Elliott in, Keselowski out, and it was just a lot of things going on that were happening there in these last few laps. And that sort of set the tone that, at least in my opinion, Elliott needed to win in order to advance. Restart comes out. First time overtime. Coming off of turn 4, heading to the white flag. Daniel Suarez makes contact with the 2 car. Keselowski sends Suarez into Daniel Hemrick. Spins also the 22 car of Joe Logano, who spins through the grass. But take a look at this photo that I just took. Feet, just a matter of a couple feet before Hamlin reaches the white flag, the caution comes out, which sets up another overtime. As soon as the second overtime started, Keselowski tried to make it 4 wide, was losing spots. Chase Elliott was maintaining a second to third place run, and then heading the final lap off of turn 2, Keselowski hit the wall again, trying to gain as many spots as possible, but ultimately it would not be successful. Hamlin would go on to win. Elliott would finish second. I forgot where Brad Keselowski finished, but it doesn't matter because Keselowski would end up not advancing into the round of 8. Chase Elliott would advance over Keselowski by 3 points. Just a quick top 10 review. Hamlin wins, Chase Elliott second. The Busch brothers, Kyle and Kurt, third and fourth respectively. William Byron, nice one for him in fifth. Mark Truex Jr. in sixth. Eric Jones seventh. Clint Boyer eighth. Kevin Harvick ninth. And Jimmy Johnson in 10th. By the way, big shout out to Jimmy Johnson finishing 10th because he hit the wall, I believe, around stage 1, stage 2. Was 25th, 1 lap down. Nice job for him to come back inside the top 10. And now let's take a look at the drivers that will contend for a championship in the round of 8. It is Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joe Logano, and Chase Elliott. And the drivers that are eliminated are Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Alex Bowman, and Clint Boyer. My thoughts, it was okay. I mean, to be honest, stage one was all right. Stage 2 was not as exciting. It was just going through the process. It was just a typical Kansas race before this 2019 package. But stage 3 really started to heat up when you look at in terms of the championship between Keselowski and Elliott. That part was really exciting to watch. The finish was a bit controversial because NASCAR or fans were saying, oh, they want Chase to win because people were saying that that the caution came out after the leaders crossed the finish line. But as the photo I just showed you, clearly, Hamlin was before the line, before the caution came out, but everyone has their own opinions. I'm just going by what they did. So Chase Elliott would advance, Keselowski does not, and Hamlin would win. Now the next race, it's Martinsville, baby. I am so gassed for this. I'm so excited for this. I'll be, I think, on Sunday on NBCSN, so I can't wait for that. Timo, what do you guys think of the race? Did you think that NASCAR tried to purposely give Chase Elliott the win? What are your thoughts on the race in general? And who are your thoughts on, how about Ryan Blaney? Where Ryan Blaney had even though he had damage and caused a caution, his day fell apart. He had a really good day going. How do you think he's going to go on through the round of 8? Because he right now seems to be the best Penske driver, obviously, now that Keselowski's out. But even for some time, Blaney has been the best Penske driver as of late. How do you think he'll fare into the round of 8? What about the 42 car Kyle Larson? Do you think he's going to be able to move on to home to get through the round of 8? And how about Denny Hamlin? I feel like, in my opinion, Hamlin, he's my championship contender. He's my championship favorite, so it should be exciting to see what happens in the round of 8. But that's for next week. But until next time, my name is Jack Ross from NASCAR on MDK. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.